welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. I am Biz Shetsu with ThoughtSpot, and we're partnering with CDO Magazine, MIT, CDO IQ, and the International Society of Chief Data Officers in a series of interviews. Today, I have the pleasure of talking to Dr. Ashim Bose, Chief Data and AI Officer of Omnitracs. Welcome, Dr. Bose.
Thanks, and good to be here.
Yeah. And so for the first question, I'd love to ask you this. I'm sure you get it all the time, but I would love to just learn a little bit about yourself and Omnitracs as well, and especially for the audience.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start with Omnitracs and then work my way to me. So Omnitracs is one of the leading providers of solutions for the trucking industry for the most part. We do in-cab solutions, back office solutions around fleet management, across multiple segments. We do, telematics, video, navigation, routing, compliance. So we have a number of solutions that we work with our customers on. There's a lot of what's called IoT data. There is obviously customer data, traffic data. So my role at Omnitracs is to harmonize, enrich, provide insights into our products directly to our customers, to our internal stakeholders, finance, sales and marketing, operations, etc., on how to serve our customers better. So there are a number of elements to what I do. And, the insights need to be based on a common set of data, on a standardized data platform. And we leverage that to basically do all of the above. Now, of course, prior to Omnitracs, I've had a long career in data analytics and AI. With a strong applications twist as well. And been with companies like DXC, with HP, with Autodesk. So these are some of the bigger tech companies out there. And then, of course, I've also been with startups that got acquired by bigger companies and so on and so forth. A degree in data and AI, a PhD in computer science. And I started my career at NASA, working for NASA on the Hubble Space Telescope planning and scheduling side of things.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. That's awesome. And so I guess the first topic, as far as what I'm thinking about and, what you've been going through this past year, I mean, it's been an interesting time for sure. And I'm curious, just what are some of the lessons you've learned during this pandemic and during these unprecedented times, especially when it comes to the particular industry that you're in, both data and analytics, as well as freight. So I'd love to get your thoughts on, what you've learned, how you're reprioritizing things. Like, what's the thought process there these past 9 months or so?
Yeah, so some of the trends that we are dealing with, it's across multiple dimensions in terms of sub-segments. We serve a lot of segments within the freight and transportation industry. And, you see these variations in terms of month-to-month activity, in terms of things like oil and gas, paper goods, sporting goods. So, we track a lot of that. And we definitely see some trends there. There's obviously risk associated with all of this as well, because whenever there is huge variability, there is risk. So we definitely have to kind of manage it, minimize it, and so on and so forth. And then last but not least, the supply chain has been impacted as well. There's the demand side, and then there's the supply side. And a lot of the supply, historically has come into our ports and then been moved over to its destination. So if you think about the supply chain and the variability, visibility is important. Digital transformation is extremely important because, what we're seeing is, customers need to have digital processes instead of traditional, paper and pen type processes. where the data is leveraged in near real time and can be used to provide business value as needed, if you will. So given all of that, one of the things we've been working on, obviously, is the Omnitracs One platform that allows us to converge and give our users a common user experience and so on and so forth. So we are delivering, we're obviously accelerating that and helping our customers on that front from a strategic perspective. Another strategic thing we've done recently is obviously, you may have heard about the acquisition of SmartDrive, which was based on the fact that, with the digital transformation that's going on, there is also a movement towards convergence in the cab in terms of the number of devices and cameras and sensors and so on. So with that in mind, we made a strategic acquisition of SmartDrive, which kind of helps, with the topic of convergence and migrations and so on. On a very tactical level, we're doing things, like communicating regularly with our customers on trends by segment, by sub-segment, and talking about what's showing an uptick, what's not, and so on. So giving them some of the data and insights for them to, manage their businesses and leverage some of these trends as needed. Another example of something tactical we did recently, actually it's been a few months, is when the COVID, pandemic first started in February and March, we're very quick to tap into the Hopkins and Kaiser data that was publicly available and leverage that to enrich that with our customer data, position data, and be able to provide COVID alerts if customers were, nearing a hotspot, along with, recommended precautions and lifestyle type items such as, parking, open establishments for dining, and so on and so forth, which at the end of the day, add a lot of value to our customers' day-to-day operations, and which range from safety to, just, being able to do their jobs better, productivity and efficiency, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. That's, that gets, I guess, makes me think of the topic around data strategy, right? You mentioned earlier that you have your data platform, you call it the AI platform. And so with all these things that you guys are doing, could you elaborate a little bit about just what it takes to get to a solid foundation and why, maybe people and culture processes are critical in this whole dynamic?
Yeah, a data foundation is, critical to be able to mine the data, harvest the data for insights, and be able to do it in a fast manner and a repeatable, standardized manner at scale. So that data foundation is extremely important. And as we look to some of the different elements, as you build your data foundation, obviously you need to have a pretty good understanding of what are the use cases that you're going to be going after, which directly correlates to the data that you need on the platform and how to get it. So it's a bit of a supply chain for the data, but it's really good to have that perspective as you get started in laying the right data foundation. Obviously, the foundation needs to have the right technology elements to be able to scale and to be able to deal with, structured data, unstructured data, streaming data, data at rest, and so on and so forth. So that technology piece is not to be underestimated. There needs to be, you mentioned people and process. So, people are obviously extremely important to this whole ecosystem. And you got to have the right skill sets, what they call big data, high volume data, high velocity data, and so on. There are all kinds of tools available to be able to do that in the cloud as well as through commercial vendors and open source. And having the right skills is key. And in a lot of cases, there needs to be an upskilling effort because, technology is moving fast. People are used to perhaps some of the older legacy technologies, and having a program in place to upskill, cross-skill, modernize skills is extremely important from the people perspective. The other part that's really important from a people perspective is relationships, because at the end of the day, you want to lay the foundation and deliver value through the use cases. To do that, you need to have a good understanding of the customers, of the stakeholders, and understand their pain points, and making sure that the foundation that you're laying is going to be able to address those pain points. So that becomes really key in terms of the relationships and commitments that are made and the execution to kind of fulfill those commitments. Right. And last but not least, in terms of process, you got to have the right processes in terms of communication, in terms of governance, in terms of security, and so on and so forth. So, sometimes you're dealing with sensitive data, private data. You got to have the right processes to anonymize and make available in a secure manner as needed to the right stakeholders. So, the process piece of this in laying the right foundation is extremely important as well.
Yeah. So we've talked about skills and talent, mainly around those that are kind of doing, but what about what you perceive as like the right profile for a leader, especially in data and analytics? Like, what are some of the characteristics, the traits, like when you're looking at folks that you want to bring onto the team, what is it that you're looking for in that, what their profile, essentially, just what's the right persona?
I would say that the persona, there is no one persona, there are multiple personas, but some of the common elements are the ability to understand the stakeholders' perspectives, customers or internal stakeholders, what are their pain points, what's driving them, what's motivating them, and being able to talk their language in terms of value creation, value delivery, whether it's, incremental value through a product, or is it, direct value to an account team in terms of them understanding their customers better. So the value could be a little bit different depending on the stakeholder, but it's really important for the leaders to be able to relate to them, to be able to talk their language, and translate the data language to language that's understandable by people who are not specialized in data, if you will. So that's something I definitely look for leaders. Obviously, having technology credibility is important. In the data space, depending on the subsegment, data science, data engineering, data architecture, data analytics. So, there could be a lot of different specializations, but it's really important to have a strong and deep background in one or more of the above, if you will, because then you have credibility in terms of being able to talk to your own teams, leading your teams, and so on and so forth. And I'll just end with one last one and, stick to the top three, if you will. I would say that listening skills, empathy skills are extremely important as well. And that translates to how you deal with your own team, as well as how you deal with your colleagues, your stakeholders, and so on. Because at the end of the day, the data and the insights from the data are meant to serve a purpose, and having a good understanding of that purpose is key. And without the right listening skills, that becomes really complicated.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I think that's just a great way to just wrap up today's session. But first off, Dr. Bose, I truly appreciate you coming out here to speak with us. This is, the first of many for the Dallas area for the CDO magazine. And so I think we couldn't have had a better person to represent the CDO magazine from your side. So thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Yes. And for those of you that are out there listening, please feel free to come out and check out cdomagazine.tech for any other additional interviews, and of course for this one as well.